Summer routines live or die by how easy they are, and honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
From the kids to Aunt Sue. Keep your whole family connected on all their devices with crowd-pleasing gig-speed internet from Xfinity. Now that's simple, easy, awesome. Learn more about gig-speed internet or other popular plans, now with even more speed. Enjoy faster downloads and a better streaming experience today. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store for a great offer. Restrictions apply. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed.
Welcome back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. All right. You ready, Michael?
No.
How about now?
Okay.
Yeah.
Trying to get into a mental zen. Try to be calm this broadcast.
Don't be calm. Nobody came here to see you be calm.
I know, but it's a new Russo.
No, it's not.
Yeah. I hope this is being taped. Hey, we should go with that.
Yeah, we should go with that. That should be the open, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to ruin the polished nature of our show or anything.
Yeah.
But I think we can go with that.
We're going to go for a record 2 positive podcasts in a row.
In a row? I know maybe 2 a year, but I don't know if we can do 2 in a row. Of course, we should start positive, and then I'll let you just chronicle disaster because that's what you do.
Yeah. Hey, they're 0 and 0.
That was Michael's attempt to change the subject. All right, we're going to actually start the show. We've already started the show. We're going to start the show. This is the Russo-Souhan Show. This is our hockey show on TalkNorth.com. We are live again at Tin Shed in Savage. Tin Shed MN is the website. Check out all their deals. You can print out coupons right off their website. You can see Michael Russo's shining face right on their website. It is easy to find. If you make it anywhere close to Savage, just GPS it. You will show up here. Our next live show will be September 19th? Or
18th.
18th. September 18th at 7 o'clock is our next live show. And we're going to try to fit in a show, depending on my travel schedule, October 1st. But stay tuned for that one. We're definitely doing September 18th at 7 o'clock. Thanks to all of our sponsors, Tin Shed, FixologyRepair.com, Twill in the Edina Galleria, Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent, and BiteSquad.com. Let's get to an email. I'm going to open the show with an
Jamie
email.
Watson, he's just so spiffy there in that suit.
Soccer people are kind of like hockey people. They dress up, unlike baseball people who dress like I'm dressed tonight. So my question for Russo is, when you go into the beat writer business, did you ever imagine or have the goal of reaching the stage where you're recognized nationally as a renowned writer, you are a regional celebrity, and your work is considered gospel that is meant as a compliment, parentheses, that is meant as a compliment to the majority of the fan base for a diehard hockey market? I would appreciate the consideration for that question tonight. Signed, Michael Russo. No, signed Dan Schultz.
I was going to say, who?
Dan Schultz.
Dan, yeah.
Dan Schultz, not Michael Russo is the key. He keeps saying, don't say it's Michael Russo.
I thought that my mother...
Your mother doesn't like you that much.
Tomorrow's my mother's birthday.
Happy birthday, Barbara.
Yep.
Hey, let's give a round of applause for Barbara. I know she listens to every show, and we do appreciate her support.
And that was your gift.
He just bought himself $1 billion watch in Vegas. He's not going to buy his mother a gift.
I don't have any more money for a gift. I bought her half of a dog last week, so that's that. I called her today. I'm like, hey, just so you know, I didn't send you anything because half that dog was part of your gift. I was surprised she didn't go. That was for Mother's Day, but no. What was the question? Yeah, read that again.
No, I will absolutely not read that again. He's asking you, how hard is it to be as great as you are? So I think the question he's asking.
No, I mean, I don't think anybody has her as a goal. I mean, it's funny. I mean, I used to watch Pardon the Interruption, and when they'd have the sports writers on, and I kind of thought, wow, this is kind of weird. And then what it did is then everybody else started like, well, maybe we should have sports writers on a radio show, and maybe we should have sports writers be interviewed on TV. And so sort of when I moved to Minnesota is when all that started to happen. So right when I got here, a local agent in town who Barney Harris, former hockey
Barney
agent.
Was covering Vikings when he was representing Vikings
former
players.
NFL and NHL agent. He called me up and he's like, hey, you mind if I set up some meetings with KSTP, WCCO, KFAN, and we'll try to get you a radio gig in town? I'm like, yeah, go for it. And then we met with, at the time, I think it might have been KSTP was the only one that even responded. And we met at a Caribou right across from KSTP and University. And I remember Barney talked to Steve Conrad was the head of it, and it was, Matt Thomas, that was the host who kind of started Russo Radio. And we're meeting in this Caribou, and Barney is talking to him like he is trying to negotiate a multi-million-dollar deal for Brian Scrudlin or Bob Gainey or some of the clients that he had. And I was just sweating profusely. I'm like, I feel bad because I sort of undermined Barney as he left the meeting. So we meet, and I could tell these guys are like, what the heck? So Barney's leaving, and they're walking across the street, and I call them up. I'm like, whatever you want to pay me, I'll take. I totally undermined, just totally undercut Barney, poor guy. And so then that's how I started. Russo Radio went to KSTP, and then when the Wild, Paul Allen was trying to get me to go to the Fan forever. And when the Wild went over there when KFAN became rights holders of the Wild, 6-7 years ago, that was kind of the perfect opportunity to go there. But in terms of what Dan said, it's obviously very kind, but I don't think anybody ever, you just want to do your job well. And the one thing I was just telling somebody at The Athletic, because something's going on behind the scenes with The Athletic, and nothing bad, all good. But something we're trying to work something out here. And I was saying that the one thing about the Athletic is that you want to be the person that people read to learn about their Wild news. And so that's the only goal that I've ever had. And then what comes with that is it just was the perfect timing of social media where you build your brand there, and then obviously radio and TV, and then podcasts like this one. And we're 210 shows deep. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. I remember when Jim first came up with this idea of doing this podcast. I'm like, yeah, I'll come along for the ride. I never thought that he'd create this whole network with how many podcasts do you have on there?
40, 50, something like that.
I don't even know where you find the time. I'm exhausted just doing one.
Well, I'm exhausted after doing one with you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Poor Brandon.
Actually, that's because he's changed his name. His legal name is now Poor Brandon. Brandon is now his middle name, yes.
Yeah.
That is Brandon Morton, our longtime producer, by the way. And we might actually have one of the other original podcasters on this network. Tim Yoder has left my network and the media business to go work for Best Buy. He lives in the area. He might swing by and say hello to us tonight. I hope so. But the reason I started this is I wanted to be able to do shows with just people I really liked and respected, and no BS and no new manager coming in and telling you, well, you have to talk like this, or, oh, you have to yell more. I wanted to do just honest, real shows, and the fact that you and I naturally hate each other has made it just very easy for us to do this show.
Exactly.
I am getting mixed messages from the fan base. Dan wrote that glowing note to Michael that Michael dictated earlier in the day. But then we have Bert, our regular, didn't show up tonight because he was working out. That is the worst excuse for missing a podcast
seriously.
I have ever heard.
Yeah, that's insane. Couldn't work out an hour ago?
Plus, you walk from the parking lot to your seat. That's cardio. Lifting the beer is resistance training. And then laughing at Russo is ab work. He could have gotten it all here. He blew it. And also, our two other favorite regulars, Vicky and Clyde, went to Russia.
They're going to
Of course,
bring home
they're
Kaprizov.
scouting for us, so
Yeah.
that's a little different.
They're gonna
It
bring
is
home
weird.
Kaprizov.
It's really weird to do a show without Vicky here because Vicky is like the linchpin for the whole show.
If anybody could get Kaprizov to come over, it'd be probably Vicky.
I think she's on a mission.
Yeah.
I think she's being paid by somebody. I guess I should get to a hockey topic before we waste the whole show here. Let's talk about the Fiala deal.
Yeah, I mean, every time one of these things are settled at the end, you're like, what took so long? I mean, this was supposed to be the price all summer long, and finally he just took it. I don't know. I think he did come to his senses where he realized I don't want to miss training camp and put himself behind the eight ball by fighting over a couple $100,000 here or there. I mean, there was just a certain amount of money that you were going to give. There's a marketplace set for this type of player. And this was it. So the Wild probably came up $100,000 or $200,000. I'm sure he came down. I think originally he was looking for 2 years at 3.7, and the Wild they're like, no way. And so now he's here. So the thing is, it's interesting, is because he needs a work visa, he can't even get on a plane and come here until that work visa is done. It's not done yet. So my guess is that we're talking later in the weekend or early next week that he gets on the ice for the first time with the rest of his teammates. Drew Stafford is here on a PTO, so he will be at a minimum a placeholder on that line with Zucker and Stahl to start training camp, I would assume. And this is now an opportunity for Drew to at least show in the first couple days of practice and maybe in some of the exhibition games that he still has game. And we'll see if he does that. And then a couple other things I'll be interested to see in camp is Mikko Koivu. I think that he's going to start off on the third or fourth line in practice to start camp. I cannot imagine that he'll be allowed to scrimmage on Saturday. He might not even be allowed to scrimmage early next week. My guess is that we won't see him in the first 3 or 4 exhibition games. And then later in camp, they'll give him a chance to really go out there and play some of those exhibition games, similar to the way that Ryan Suter came back from his injury last year. And then the other thing that I'm interested to see is I've been trying to put my finger on this, is I did a State Fair show with Bruce Boudreau last week, and he kind of insinuated that he might change a couple things. And I asked him, does that mean Luke Cunnin might not be in center? And he basically, he went into this whole shtick about how I read his mind. So clearly, Luke Cunnin is going to start camp at right wing. So the question is, who's going to center? And it just, I'll be interested to see Friday who that is. My gut says it's going to be that he's going to be moving one of these left shot wingers to center that we've never seen play center before. So I don't think it'll be Fiala, but it could very well be Ryan Donato. And if Donato's at center, that would be with Parisi and Zuccarello. And what it would allow him to do is now suddenly he would have a right shot, right wing in the top 9, and you could have a third line that potentially is Greenway, Koivu, and Cunnin. And then if I'm right about that, because we know that Fiala and Zuccarello are up there, to me, process of elimination, if it's not Donato or Greenway, it's got to be one of those two. So, but it just I have a feeling it's not Greenway. I just think that he wants Greenway playing a power role as a winger to start the season. So if that's the case, process of elimination is that we could have a really interesting story early in camp that Donato is going back to a position that he played, back in college. So we'll see that.
We'll do Twitter questions and live questions later. If you do have a live question, just come up and Brandon will hand you the mic, and we will get to you. I do want to thank our primary sponsor and our long-running sponsor, Twill in the Edina Galleria. I was there the other day. I bought some new boots from Trask, and got this shirt there, got this hat there, and I walked in the other day, and they have about 8 different brands that I'd never seen before that just look awesome for like summer and fall wear. They're transitioning over to fall right now. Their stuff is just so comfortable. You could play golf in this shirt. So check out twillmn.com. Stop by the shop. Scott Dayton's staff is really low-key, really friendly. I've gotten to know them all. They're just nice people. Twill in the Edina Galleria. I'm here with my wife, Stacy. We went to Twill in the Edina Galleria the other day. We saw Scott Dayton, and I bought the nicest sport jacket I've ever owned, the most comfortable pants I've ever owned. They're Brax. A nice pair of loafers that I can wear to the ballpark. I think they're called Tracks. And I bought a bunch of Stenstrom short sleeve shirts to go with my Stenstrom nice dress shirts. And, I used to wear just disposable clothes. Now when I buy something, I buy it at Twill. I know it's going to last me the rest of my life, and it's going to be comfortable.
And on top of that, it's not just the best stuff you've ever had, but it's really everyday things that you can wear and that will fit all occasions.
Yeah, I've worn the Stenstrom short sleeve shirts every day this week. When I dress up or even just want to look nice at a game or a Lynx game or something, I wear the Stenstrom dress shirts. But really, the Brax pants are the most comfortable I've ever worn. They are more comfortable than jeans. I never thought I'd have anything more comfortable than a broken-in pair of jeans.
And he keeps saying that, Scott, so thank you very much.
Twill in the Edina Galleria, twillmn.com, Twill on Instagram. Also, yeah, it's that stretchy stuff. It's actually really nice. Also, go to tinshedmn.com and go to the deals tab, and they not only have all their specials, 2-for-1 happy hours, $5 happy hour drinks, $5 happy hour drinks, $5 happy hour appetizers, 2-for-1 all day, every day. They also have coupons for like a free 16-ounce beer, 10% off online orders, 2 for $15 online pizza deal. There are a lot of ways you can save money by coming to Tin Shed or ordering online from Tin Shed, and we appreciate them hosting the show. Any other newsy tidbits you've picked up lately?
Not really. The interesting thing was the broadcasting thing that's, I've been sitting on for about 2 months. And it's because they finally, 2 days ago, worked out with Paul Allen from KFAN to basically do to do play-by-play for some games this year, especially on the road. Bob Kurtz, under his own volition, is taking a little bit of a start and step back this year, maybe kind of weed out some games to the point that maybe in a year or two he will be looking to retire. But this is all him. This is not something the Wild are asking him to do. Those would mostly be on road games. So you have Paul Allen, you have Jim Erickson, the St. Cloud announcer, you have Kevin Fallness, and you have Joe O'Donnell, which is kind of fun. This is somebody that's been in the organization for a long, long time, back in Houston and Iowa as their play-by-play guy. He's finally getting his NHL chance. And then on color analyst, there's going to be a rotation very similar to what the Twins, where every night you don't know if you're going to see Blyleven or Morneau or who else, Roy Smalley or
Troy Hawkins, sometimes Torrey Hunter's
yeah,
a few.
Yeah, both of them are great. So they're going to do that, where it's going to be mostly Ryan Carter. So he's going to be kind of making that transition. It'll be sometimes Wes Walls, sometimes Lou Nanne, and then sometimes Mike Greenlay. And then you'll have a desk that's either Chorsky, Clymer, or Greener. And Kevin Gorg returns as sideline. Audra Martin as host. I'll be doing pregame still. And that's it. So that's kind of new. So they're trying to spice things up on the broadcasting side. I'll have a story early to probably next week or maybe this weekend on how they're also going to try to spice things up on the game ops side. And so I think that we'll see a little bit of a different life around the Wild this year.
So I was at the Twins game last night, and Parisi and Suter were there. It was kind of a wild night there. Koivu was there as well. And I was just reminded when I walked through the Twins clubhouse, and then I walked past Parisi. And Parisi's, very fit, hardworking, athletic hockey player. And, man, I spend a lot of my time around NFL players and baseball players and NBA players. Hockey players just look tiny in those settings.
Well, you saw Spurge there last night.
Spurge is
Alex Stalock.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they had some video up of Parisi just pounding the baseball. And one, you realize how good of an athlete Zach is. But two, you're right. I mean, it's unbelievable. And with Zach in particular, the punishment that he puts himself in by going in front of the net for as long as he has, by going into the corners, it's a courageous style that he plays. And but you see that. I mean, it's just crazy. That Cole Caulfield was on my plane coming back from the draft. I couldn't believe it when he walked by me, how tiny he was. I still remember in 2007 being in Anaheim covering the Stanley Cup Final for the Star Tribune and being in the lobby of the Marriott and talking to Patrick Kane, and he was just this teenage little kid. And 2.5 months later, he's making his NHL debut against the Wild. In the game where the Wild won 1-0, but Jacques said something like,
I remember that. Yes.
Jacques had LASIK from Dr. Samuelson, and he didn't like the way that the Wild played that night. And he said something. His quote was something like, he goes, "I want to have my LASIK reversed. I see too much," or something like that. Yeah, it was funny.
It's funny. It is funny too that before this era where everybody feels like they're part of the marketing team, you actually would. Often, with Tom Kelly, that night we were both talking to Jock, and he's like just ripping his team after they won. There was an era when coaches would just rip into their team if they didn't like the way they played, no matter whether they won or lost.
Yeah, I still remember talking to Terry Murray once. Hey, there's Matt Maka. I was still talking to Terry Murray once.
Is he still mad at me?
It was he? I don't even know.
I think you were the one who told me he was mad at me.
Oh, maybe. I think it was more. I think it was. Yeah, it was after you said Leopold was on drugs or something.
Yeah. Well, I shook Craig's hand and talked with him for a while, and he didn't bring that up, so I think he's past it.
Yeah. What was I saying?
I've lost. Brandon, what were we talking about? I lost all.
Like
all
Brandon
track.
would know.
That's
Come
a
on.
good point. He doesn't listen to the show.
There's 100 people here. They don't even know.
No, they
What was
don't
I talking
listen
about?
to the show. We were talking about the size of hockey players.
I don't know. What did I just say before that? Nobody knows? Is anybody here listening? Oh, Terry Murray.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody's
Terry
paying
Murray.
attention.
Terry Murray. That's still to this day one of the coaches that he would just savage his teams. And I mean, he was fired out of Philly because he said after, when they were down 3-0 against Detroit in the Stanley Cup final, he goes, "We're in a choking situation," and that was end to him. But then he wound up in Florida, and if you asked him a question, he would not insult your intelligence by denying. He would just destroy the guy. I remember Terry Murray said a quote in Ottawa once that destroyed my relationship with Dan Boyle. But he basically said, there are two places that you don't want to turn the puck over, inside the blue line, either blue line, offensive or defensive. And Dan had a couple turnovers that night in Ottawa to lose in the game, and I wrote the story and I interviewed Dan about it, and it was like boom, just turned it off, and Terry just destroyed him. And he was like that all the time. If you asked him a question, he didn't have the lie thing going,
Right.
which I love as a beat
Yes.
writer. Boudreaux's kind of like that. I mean, you could tell when Boudreaux's just kind of like trying not to be honest. It's almost humorous, because he still tries to almost let you know. It's like when he's telling you the lie, he's also doing it in a way that he's like letting you know, like, I'm lying to you right now. So, oh man, it's funny.
Tom Kelly was always really offended if his team played lousy or played poor fundamentally and won. He hated that. He thought that was like a blight on the game of baseball, that you could play badly and play stupidly and win the game. He was never more upset.
Well, I've covered coaches also like Terry Murray, Mike Keenan, people like that also if you're lousy and the writers like sugarcoated it or
they got mad.
like they'd get like legitimately upset with you the next day. Like,
Yeah.
Like how some people like they'll come up to you and like, you're so negative. They'd be like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Are you blind?
Yeah.
So, oh man.
There have been times where both managers and coaches, and this is, again, back in the old days where it wasn't 85 people standing around in a group interview all the time. Kind of like hockey is. You still get people one-on-one in hockey.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have managers and coaches pull me aside and say, would you rip this bleeping bleep so he'd start playing?
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Kelly once did an interview with me where he ripped Kirby Puckett because he knew I'd write it, and then he knew Kirby would get hot. And Kirby came up to me the next day, yelled at me, and then went on like a 10-game hitting streak.
Well, Bill Guerin, first school of GMing through the media. It was brilliant what he did yesterday. He calls me back about Fiala, and that his interview with me was solely so Fiala would read his quotes. Mm-hmm. I mean, and GMs do that.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like the first. It was like the first, like, all right, this guy is starting to, like, and that's, by the way, what he did yesterday is the stuff that Paul Fenton would never dream of doing. I mean, he called me up specifically to basically say, I've been there, I get it, I appreciate where this guy's coming from. I've done it twice, though, and it was bad for me. And so I really hope that he comes to his senses. We've offered him a fair deal, sign and get here on time. And trust me, I've been trying to get Billy to talk about Fiala for 2 weeks, and he wasn't willing to, but then all of a sudden, day before camp, he's like, I'll talk to Russo about it. And so sometimes I'm here to be used, and that's one. And it is funny. I went to bed super late last night, like crazy late, and I still set my alarm for like 8 a.m. because just reporter instinct as a beat writer. You just know that Fiala's signing today, right? If Fiala doesn't sign today, this thing's going a couple weeks. Like you just know. So it's like I better make sure I'm up this morning, and so predictably he settled. I'm not going to say he caved. He got a good deal for him. I never behoove these guys for fighting for what they feel like. You only have one career, the contract's really good. If he proves himself the next couple of years, he's going to his next contract, the 3.5, is going to be something that he's going to blow out of the water. And the Wild, I mean, this is the type of thing. It's a good deal for him and a good deal for the Wild because if he does become the player that they hope in the next 2 years, they'll be happy to pay him. Trust me.
Who handles contract negotiations?
Well, it's a good question. Chris O'Hearn's got that role now, but I think Bill Guerin took the reins on this one. And I think he'll take a lot more reins as we go along here. I think it's a lot of times going to be the type of contract that you're doing. You know, if it's just get a deal done with Drew Stafford, I mean, that's probably something that Chris O'Hearn could do. And then more and more as the two of them get comfortable, I'm sure that you always, as a GM, usually have somebody that eventually. I remember when Chuck got here, he tried to do everything, and then all of a sudden Shep started doing every single contract in the organization pretty much for the most part, other than some of the maybe the minor league guys and things like that.
We haven't seen our friend John Hedges in a couple of weeks. He used to come to all the live shows. We're not on the light rail anymore. That's cutting down on John. But John is doing a great job running Fixology Repair. It's Mall of America, downtown Minneapolis in the Skyway, also now downtown in the St. Paul Skyway, walking distance from the XL Energy Center and the Wild offices. Check it out. They do great work on tablets, phones, watches, any device. They sell new stuff. They have their biggest inventories out at the Mall of America, but they have a lot of accessories at the other locations. And again, you take it in there, they'll take care of whatever your problem is. They'll fix it. They'll get you on your way. Check out fixologyrepair.com.
Hi, this is John with Fixology Repair. For the better part of a decade, we've been privileged to serve you for all of your jewelry, watch, and smartphone repair needs at the Mall of America. Since Minnesotans largely hate going to the mall, we expanded 2 years ago to reach you in the Minneapolis Skyway. And now this year, we're pleased to announce we have a new location at Wells Fargo Place in the St. Paul Skyway. All three shops are equipped to help with your watch and cell phone repair needs on site, while all jewelry, computer, and game consoles will be completed at the Mall of America store. Please bring us your repair challenges, and don't forget to mention the Talk North podcast for a 10% discount on all of our services.
So is Bill still in the getting his feet wet in the organization, or has he started kind of figuring out how things work?
I think that. I think he is. He got to meet with all the scouts in Traverse City and try to figure out exactly who does what role and what territories they all cover and things like that. So that was probably very good, and I think he's starting to get the lay of the land. I think he's looking forward to training camp here here in the next couple of weeks. And then slowly but surely he'll start making moves, both stuff that fans will never see, internal moves in the front office, moving guys around, maybe hiring people, maybe eventually letting people go. Right now, everything is status quo in the organization. I mean, nobody's lost their jobs since Bill's been here. People that you'd think that maybe would move on are definitely still around. I mean, Jack Ferrara, PJ Fenton, both of them were in Traverse City. And those were, obviously, everybody knows PJ Fenton, but Jack Ferrara was Paul's longtime mentor and was his advisor. And he's still so far in the organization. And so, slowly but surely, I think that over the next year, we'll start to see more people added to the organization. This late in the game, it's hard for him to get people. I know for a fact somebody that he tried to hire that just the team that he tried to get him from said no. I mean, the season's starting, no way. And it's just the timing right now. He's going to probably have to deal with the staff that he has, and then maybe he'll make some changes.
What's he doing with the analytics department right now?
Well, I mean, Paul hired one person, and I think that he's going to try to get the lay of the land there, too, and try to expand that. There's a lot of, I think they would like to expand that position. I think they'd like to eventually add, sports scientists. There's a lot of areas that other teams are maybe more advanced than the Wild. They do have a sports psychologist that is on commission, that type of thing. But he 100% buys into analytics as another piece of information.
Good time if you have a live question to come up and ask it now and get that rolling. I got to ask you, you come in wearing another $1 million. It's like you're the Odell Beckham of hockey writers. You just wear the most expensive watch you can.
No, it's not the most expensive watch. But it was I was in Vegas last week, and I didn't do this because I made money. Trust me, did not make money in Vegas. I was walking through the city center. I happened to walk into Louis Vuitton store for the first time in my life. And I didn't even know they make watches. And I just happened to walk over to this thing. And I'm like, oh no, I should not have seen this watch. It was the nicest watch I've ever seen in my life. And of course, I put a number right in my head. And praying it was way lower. And I put a number in my head. And I'm like, all right, if they tell me it's this or lower, I'm buying this. and it was right at that number. So bought it, but it's just an awesome. I mean, it's just look at it. Look at that.
You know what? It's the same time on my watch.
All right.
I'd say I don't really get watch culture. I mean, if I won the lottery tomorrow, I can think of a lot of nice things I might buy. I don't think I'd buy a new watch.
Yeah.
So explain it to me.
I don't want to explain it anymore. I'm uncomfortable being laughed at. It's a really nice watch. It's blue.
It is blue.
Yeah.
You can get
It's
a
not
blue.
wood.
If you have enough money, you can buy a blue watch.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the lesson we're learning here.
Yeah.
All right, bail them out.
I like your shirt.
Change the
first of all.
subject.
So I know somebody that's going to Ireland, and I gave him remember I've told the story about how he's going Saturday, and remember I've told the story about how I had that great bottle of Bushmills, the baby blue one that I bought there.
That you dropped?
Andy was there for that. And then Paul Fenton was calling me last June.
Everything is Fenton's fault.
It was. He called
Everything.
me, and as he's calling me, I opened I was opening this cabinet, and it fell out onto the floor. And by the time I was done with Paul Fenton, I was drunk just from the fumes of this whiskey. And this bottle is only it's a reserve distillery that you can only buy there, and it's just this baby blue bottle. I mean, it's not overly expensive, but it kind of looks like my watch. So I Googled. I'm like Bushmills baby blue whiskey or something, and to see if it came up, and it came up, and so I sent the screen capture to this guy. And by the way, if you're listening at home, the reason why I'm telling this story is the person that's about to ask a question is wearing a Dublin, Ireland shirt. So there you go. How are you? How are you related to Zach?
I'm not.
Oh, you're not?
No, they just sat at the table.
Oh, okay.
I'm a single. I said, here, sit here. I said, I don't want to take up a whole table. Just sit down.
All right, nice. I like your Jason Zucker hat there. Is that a Jason Zucker hat?
Yes.
Shoot more, yep.
Shoot
yep.
more. There you go.
Yep.
It's one of the ones he had last year.
Yep. What's up?
I got a question about Victor Rask, one of your favorites.
Oh, great.
You wrote an article today or I read it today about people that would have to go up or down for forwards and centers, and they'd have to go through waivers, and Rask would have to go through waivers.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, why not send him down, put him on waivers, and
Well,
see
nobody
him
will
and
take
unload
him. He's got 3 years left at $4 million. So it's just if you're Craig Leopold, do you really want to pay this guy $4 million down in the minors to go play there when there's no benefit? They don't need the cap space. The only benefit would be is if they at the end of training camp just think, all right, these 2 players need to be on this team. But if Victor Rask is not going to play, if he's going to be the 13th forward, and you're just sending him down to have somebody else make the team, so they are the 13th forward, it probably is not worth it to you. The only thing they get from a cap relief standpoint if they send him down is like $900-something thousand bucks, and they have $3.9 million of cap space, so it's not something that's a pressing matter right now. But if all of a sudden, like they just say, we have to have Drew Stafford on the team, or we have to have Nico Sturm or Jeremy Mayhew on the team, then maybe they would do that. But again, a lot will depend on injuries. And I still am, one of those people. I saw Rask at the captain's practice the other day, and he looks to me like he's lost some weight. Not that he was overweight to begin with, but he looks really lean. Looks like, so to me, that's a sign that he must have worked hard this summer. And it's going to be up to him to try to push and take jobs from other people. I mean, if we're already talking that they're going to put Ryan Donato or Jordan Greenway at center, then maybe all of a sudden, Victor Rask has an opening to make this team and be in a role where he could actually do something. So I just think it's early in camp before we have to start worrying about that stuff like that. JT Brown's the one that's probably in real danger of losing his job because it's a nothing. You pay him $600,000 to go to the minors or whatever it is, and it's just an easy move. But no owner, for a guy that already has this $80 million payroll, no owner wants to just go pay a guy $4 million to be in the minors. So
good question. Thank
especially
you.
one that's not in the last year of his deal. I mean, that's the thing. It's
Right.
like if you piss off, it's not that you piss off. It's not that you're worried about pissing off Victor Rask, but what if in the next 3 years? He does something. He's somebody that you're going to need. Now you've kind of alienated him. What if you put him on the team and he somehow plays well and gets a role and he could actually be somebody that you could trade because of it? To just throw him through the dumpster right off the hop because he was traded for Nino just makes very little sense. What's up?
How are you, Mike?
How are you? Long time no see.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah.
Tim, I also want to remind people that we have Brian from Tin Shed is giving away tickets. Wild tickets, come up here, fill in the information. We will pick a winner. Again, that is not through us so much as that is from Brian from Tin Shed, giving away tickets to bring people in the door. So talk it up. Tell people to come out, and they'll have a chance to win some tickets. And we're joined now by Tim Yoder. Tim, as I was saying earlier, did what was one of the original shows on my network. He did a great job with the Viking Update show. By the way, we will end up changing the name here soon. We've been just kind of carrying on the Tim Yoder tradition.
He just met with his attorney today, too.
And so Tim, worked covering the Vikings. I started covering the Vikings in 1990. Tim started like the mid-90s, did it forever. Now he got a great opportunity to go work for Best Buy. So unfortunately, he's leaving the network. But he lives in the area. I wanted to say hello. If you would all do me a favor, give him a hand for coming out today and for doing such a great job on our network. So how's life in the real world?
In corporate
Yes.
USA?
Yeah.
It's going well, except, we had a little threat at the building yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
I didn't hear
so
about that.
that's...
You should have read your newspaper.
Just you specifically or everybody?
No, it was to everybody,
Okay,
as far
just
as I
making
know.
sure. Well, I was saying, do we really know?
Yeah. So apparently that was cleared up, but, it's interesting going from a smaller work environment to, 4 buildings where there's 5,000 people. But,
Yeah.
it's going well. I like it.
Good. And
hey, you know what? The hours allow me to do things like this and whatever
Right.
I want at night. So that's a whole different ball game from.
Well,
I still
the
remember
reporter
it was
world.
yesterday, the 3 of us meeting at that Starbucks in Edina to discuss starting this
right.
network.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tim also.
That's when Jim's like, hey, you want to come in with it like 50-50 with me? And I'm like, no effing way. Not a chance.
Wise decision, Michael. But Tim, like Michael and I often talk about on this show, it's Tim started covering the Vikings back when sports writing and beat writing were very different. When we spent a lot of our time sitting at somebody's locker talking to them one-on-one, and the business has changed a bit.
Yeah, and you can vet out a story a little bit more then.
Yes.
You can take time with it because if you have some interviews that other people don't have, then you can work the story a little bit more and go a little more in depth. And so those are things that I miss. But you know what? Everything changes. It's a different world in the media these days.
Yeah, I remember when you could actually like if news broke during lunch, you could actually finish your
Finish
meal.
lunch. I know.
Well,
I mean, that's the way it used to be. I was a beat writer for a long time, and you would work a story all day. Your goal was to have either news to yourself in your paper in the morning, or at least have a better version of a story than your competition in the morning paper. So you might get like a scoop at 10 in the morning, and then you just play defense and hope nobody else got it until the morning. Now it's got to be on Twitter or on your website instantaneously.
And imagine this, you could actually get interviews alone with players and coaches. And nowadays, just about any time you walk up to a player, there's another reporter or blogger following you around.
Yeah.
And so it's harder to develop relationships with players.
I was just talking to our new Canucks writer, who's a young kid, up and coming kid, and he was just called me to just sort of ask advice for the first 4 or 5 days of training camp, and that's one of the things I told him. Like, it's a different market, Vancouver, than Minnesota. It's like, I don't know in Vancouver if you could get alone time with Jim Benning to just introduce yourself and go to coffee with him, with Travis Green. Go up to Elias Pettersson, say, hey, you want to get a coffee after practice? Where it's like in Minnesota, I mean, it's just that way. If I'm setting up a lunch with Matt Zuccarello, it's just a different. I don't know. It's a different world here. Yesterday, it's like if I needed Guerin about Fiala, I texted Guerin about Fiala. I don't know if you could do that in other markets, but that's to me the way that this job used to be done and has continued to be done, at least here covering the Wild.
Yeah, it's probably a little different in hockey. I mean, with the NFL, it's tougher to get the one-on-ones and really develop relationships. I think back in the mid-'90s when I started, it was a lot easier. You could sit around and talk to a player for 20, 25 minutes a day and do that a couple times a week. Now, it's not only that there are more people in media and more people interested in the NFL, but it's also it wears on the players when it's 20 reporters all trying to get their time, throughout the week. And so,
Yeah, it is a different animal covering that league as opposed to the NHL when there's really just a handful of beat writers usually, especially on the road when.
Right.
That's my favorite time to cover any team is because you actually get there, you get alone time with these guys. They have nowhere to be, don't have to get home, especially on the Minnesota Wild. I mean, after practice, they want out. They all got 3-4 kids. Their wives that want a little bit of a respite so they can go do their thing in the afternoon. Let Zach and Ryan and all those guys take over being Mr. Mom type thing. Where on the road, it's like they'll hang out with you and talk forever because they got nowhere to be other than the hotel.
Yeah. And that doesn't happen in football either because they're out of there like that. They're coming back home. Usually the writers are there 6-8 hours later than the players, or maybe overnight even on the Sunday games. So yeah, it's different, but things change. You try to adapt.
Yeah, I remember it was last season. I was leaving the arena for I can't remember, way late. And I sent out a tweet of the dark building or something, and it was like Boudreaux or somebody texted me. He's like, "What are you still doing at the arena?" I'm like, "This is what it's like every night." You think that these stories write themselves?
Yeah, well, and it's funny because we, now that I've taken a job that's basically a 9-to-5 job, we tell people there were Sunday night, Monday night games. I would get home, say hi to my wife who was getting up to go work out. And I would go to bed, and get up, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. But, sometimes you are getting home at 4 or 5 in the morning.
Remember 2014, Jim and me, Jim and I were in Colorado, and Nino scores that overtime winner, and we finally finish up around 2:30, and then he and I had to figure out, all right, well, we have a flight in 4 hours back to Minnesota. How the hell do we get to Chicago at the same time? And so we're sitting there in the press room trying to figure out where the heck, how we're getting where and where we're going, and about within 4 hours later. Again, different type of world.
Yeah, I think we slept for an hour, then we went to the airport.
Yeah.
I think we flew through Minneapolis to get to Chicago.
I think that's the way we did it. Is we just figured out, let's get a round trip to Chicago and just pray our flights on time so we don't.
And we made it.
Yeah, we did make it.
My favorite
I just
one-
remember that press conference where at the Sutton River, where it's 5 p.m. because they had to make a late press conference because the game one of the next series started 2 days later,
right? And
the team flew that day as well into Chicago, but they had to make all the availability 5 or 6 p.m. because the beat writers all had to fly in from Denver, and it was all of us were just like The Walking Dead,
There's a lot of that.
Yeah,
I mean,
zombies.
I remember the NFC Championship game when the Vikings lost to New Orleans, and I was down there, and I had to have two plans at that time. It was, okay, if they lose, then I got to go to Mobile, Alabama to cover the Senior Bowl that week. If they win, then it's all about the Super Bowl. So I basically had a one-way flight down to New Orleans. I was in the stadium till I think 2 a.m., something like that. Left the stadium, drove overnight through the bayou, saw the sunrise in Mobile, Alabama, and just slept for 2 hours and went and covered the Senior Bowl after that.
Yeah.
It's a goofy job. It really is. Hey,
remember that game 7, we had the if they win in advance, but if their season ended.
Right.
And then trying to, everything you'd write in this file that you'd have to maybe put in this file, and it was just getting all confusing.
And I admit, that was the worst story I've ever written.
And then you have LaPanta coming up and, chirping us, and I, freaking snapped on him.
Yes, that was awesome. That's my favorite LaPanta moment is when he
comes up and goes, hey, he goes, how did that Spurgeon tying goal with 2 minutes left affect your story? And I just turned to him not now, LaPanta! And he just stormed away. I'm get the hell away from me right now. So,
is there a Russo podcast that goes without a LaPanta story?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
No, we always mention watches. We usually mention candles. We always mention Boudreaux. We always mention Fenton, and we always mention LaPanta.
Yeah, usually.
And Mom and Mrs. Tabin.
Well.
Yeah.
Anybody can.
What have you bought
this show.
online recently that people need to know
He
about?
went to Vegas and bought a $8 million watch. So he didn't have to
the
shop
thing
on
I've
it
become
anymore.
addicted to online?
Oh God!
Is Robin?
Don't admit it.
This is bad, but that stock site Robinhood. I cannot stop putting money into that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's just a stock site Robinhood, and you can buy stocks, and you basically day trade on there. And
sounds like a great idea.
And then Brian, you'll love this. And then I'm buying stock based on the way some people would pick horses. I'm like, oh, I kind of like that name. Nabor Industries. And then so I bought like 50 shares of Nabor Industries, and then I look and they got the thing like how many people tell you to buy that stock and how many people tell you to don't. And I look afterwards, I'm like, everybody tells you don't buy that stock. So anyway, yeah, that's who hit a homer there? Nice.
Polanco. There you go. Well,
There you
hey,
go.
Tim, I appreciate everything you did for the network. I appreciate you stopping by tonight. If you want to hang out for a beer, I'm buying. I don't know what your schedule is if you need to rush home. Any final thoughts while you're here with us?
Well, I think, as far as football goes, I think Zimmer kind of got what he wanted now. He's got
Yes.
a run-first team, and I'm curious to see if that's going to hold up throughout the season, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, people are really excited about the season, so that's good.
It's going to be a fun year. I mean, we know how it's going to go. We know how it's going to end, but until they get to the ending, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep, it always is. I mean, there's going to be drama throughout
So
the
negative.
season. Always
I
is.
know, Mr. Fenton Basher. I'm the negative
How about
one.
Antonio Brown? I mean, what a train wreck. And I just love that he social media is his way off the Oakland Raiders, and within a second, Belichick's like, well, I got no soul. I'll just sign him. And then a minute later, he's got accusations up the yin-yang for sexual assault, and
love
it's
it.
just like,
The only thing I really
God.
like about the story is that it pierces the idea that the Patriots just know everything, because there's no way they make that deal if they know that's out there.
And it couldn't have happened to a better team than it happened to the
No kidding.
Patriots. And they
It's
are
a
the
perfect
ones that-
marriage of player and team. Let's put it that
God.
way.
Yeah. I'm still suspicious, things will probably just somehow smooth over, and there he is back playing and lighting it up like Moss did for them. So, you know what your guy always says. It's a crazy league.
That's a Sid Hartman quote. Because anytime something happens, Sid goes, it's a crazy league. That's Sid.
But he knew it all along, right?
Yeah, it's crazy league, except he already knew it was going to happen. Yes,
exactly.
So thanks again to Tim. Thanks for
Absolutely.
coming by. Again, if you can hang out, I'll buy you a beer. If not, we'll do this again, or we'll catch you for a lunch one of these days or whatever. So thank you, Tim. Thanks for coming by. Let me take care of a little
hey, I
business.
made $12.18 today on my stocks. Just telling you. So that's 1.2% gain today, and you people are laughing at me. Huh? No, it definitely doesn't.
I can't wait to see the watch you buy with that.
I walked into the Starbucks at the Hy-Vee in Oakdale today, and because I was picking up a couple friends some caramel macchiatos, which that's when you want to do the redemption, because those are expensive drinks as opposed to the Americanos that I drink. And so I'm like, y'all get 2 caramel macchiatos and a venti Americano, and they're like, all right, that'll come to like $15. And I'm like, well, I'll do 2 redemptions. And they're like, oh, we don't take redemptions, sir. I'm just like, mother. Like, I came to you specifically just to get, I would have offered them their caramel macchiatos if I didn't know I could get it for free. Jim. I'm sorry.
You have to sell the watch, aren't you?
Yeah. Anybody have some live questions?
Hold on. I got to take care of a little business. I want to thank Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent. Tony works out of Champlin. Tony actually handles Michael's insurance, handles my insurance, he handles my home, my auto, everything. He also offers financial services, and now he is giving $10 donations to the Zucker Fund.
Nice.
For anybody who lets him give you a quote, an insurance quote, and gives them a shot to earn your business. And it's no obligation. You don't have to buy anything. But they just want to have a conversation. If you do that, they'll make a $10 donation to the Zucker Foundation. And again, it's not based on you purchasing. They just want to have a conversation with you. And it's one per household. So
Does that include Brandon?
yes, absolutely. Brandon is uninsurable. But that would be the best thing, though. If Tony would insure you.
That would be.
I mean, think of the markets that would open for him.
I feel like if Tony insured Brandon, that our State Farm prices would just go through the roof.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
So let's not have Tony insure Brandon, but he'd love to insure you. So check out Tony Hoagland. It's Hoaglund.
Hi, Talk North listeners. I wanted to let you all know about State Farm's new program called Quotes for Good. We partner with local nonprofits to raise money for great causes. For the Russo-Souhan show, I'll be donating $16 to the Jason and Carly Zucker Give 16 campaign that benefits the University of Minnesota Masonic Children's Hospital. When you call in, be sure to mention the show so that we can track the donations. You can reach us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at champlininsurance.com.
All right, fire away.
I've been doing.
That was a Russo Slacks.
I know. I just can't wait to hear from this one.
I've been doing some analytics on the Wild.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have a resume. I'm hoping you can pass it along tomorrow.
Yeah.
But overtime. How long's the overtime? 3-on-3 been in the league?
Probably since probably the last 3 years.
4 years.
4 years. Yeah. Yeah. Wild are last. I know.
The Wild are 12-28 in 3-on-3.
Yeah. Wow, you really have been doing analytics. Okay.
Is there any chance this year that the coach will be the one that puts the 3-on-3 players out on the ice?
Well, I will say this, like Bruce has just got to stand up and be that guy. I mean, he's the one that last year made that one decision that ended in with like seconds of like Koivu, Suter, and somebody on the ice. And the one thing to add to your 12 and 28. At a boredom one day, I'm gonna put it together. I did this like 2 years ago, and it was unbelievable the amount of times that Koivu, Zucker, and Suter were on the ice for 3-on-3 goals against. It's by far tops on the team. And so to me, those are the times where you just got to say, you know what, Mikko, Ryan, this is not your time. He's got to be the one to do it. So I agree. And to me, that is on Bruce. He can't blame that on anybody else dictating him. He's the one that, or at a minimum, don't put them on the ice together. Don't start them. It's got to be, to me, it's like every time, if you're going to start with two defensemen, which sometimes I get why you're going to do that, it's got to be Brodin and Spurgeon, or Brodin and Dumba, or the two of them together, Dumba and Spurgeon. It's just, to me, that's got to be that way. So,
do you think it'll be different this year with Bruce in the last year of his contract? Do you think he'll take more control and decide what's going on?
Like a great example is when the Wild were in Nashville at the beginning of March, and they were in 4-on-4 in overtime, and Parisi was on the bench and Pontus Aberg was on the ice. That's where you've got to say, all right, I'm picking the power play personnel now, not you, Dean, or whoever. I think that he is. He's going to be in survival mode a lot this year, and that's another reason why, to me, I would just give him a 1-year extension because I don't want a coach that's always thinking about that.
Right.
Here's a good example, and I know people are probably tired of hearing this, but I'm watching the captain's practice the other day, and Joel Eriksson Ek looks freaking unbelievable.
So tired of hearing that.
I know that. I mean, like he looks unreal. Like he's in absolutely the best shape on the team. And he looks like he's going to be pushing people this year. And there just comes a point, it's like you've got to play him. But from your Bruce's perspective, are you going to be willing to have the patience to play him a lot, when you've got guys like Stahl, Koivu, and some of these centers ahead of him, Like if we see Ryan Donato or Jordan Greenway at second-line center come Friday at practice, one question is, well, why not Eriksson Ek? So
I was scrolling
Did Philip
through...
write you that was Vicky out of town, or no?
No. This is so I was scrolling through Facebook one day and I came across a Hockey Feed article. It was the ugly, shocking details of Fenton's firing in Minnesota. And essentially, it's an article that just takes your article from The Athletic and then puts like 2 sentences between excerpts from your article.
Yeah.
I'm curious how that works.
It shouldn't happen.
It seems wrong.
It is wrong.
What do they call that? Aggregation? And today, is that
they call it aggregation.
Yeah.
It's a way of mass media, and
Yeah.
and I don't want to rip any of it specifically, but like Bring Me the News is an entire website that just takes information from other people and repackages it. It's like
somebody sent me something like that recently. That was like a kid that was doing it. Like that was just a Wild fan, like probably 14, 15-year-old kid that just wants to be a blogger, which just reminds me this other kid that's like 14 or 15 wanted me to read his Wild blog the other day, and I forgot to do it. So if you're listening, Carter in New York, I will get to that.
Carter, he's big time in it.
But there was somebody that did that the other day that was just like a high school kid at one of the local high schools that was doing it, and that one, I couldn't care less. But the ones that are bothersome are the ones where it's like major websites that do it, and especially at a subscription website like ours. But you know what I mean? Like that's the other. Like I always laugh when people are like, I'm gonna read the Star Tribune because I don't want to subscribe to The Athletic, and I'm just like, well, I tried to get on the Star Tribune on my site on my phone today, and it's like you need to subscribe.
Right.
Like the Star Tribune
We're a pay site.
Yes, I mean it's the same thing. It's only a little different. And so that type of stuff that bothers me. The ones that really bother me are the Facebook wild, and I've gotten into it with some of them. And I appreciate there are wild fans that will actually send this to me and say, hey, there's this closed Facebook club or whatever would be the lack of a better term probably, that a bunch of wild fans are part of. And what they do is they essentially take your story and copy and paste the whole thing on there for people that aren't subscribers to read. And
That's
that
theft.
stuff,
It's
yeah.
theft.
Yeah, I mean, that's like going into Holiday over there and just walking out with a bunch of candy. I mean, it's the same
It's like
thing.
going to a Louis Vuitton show, walking out with a watch and not paying for it, which, well, we're not going to talk about that.
I kind of wish I did that, actually. So yeah, I mean, but that's the world we live in now. It's kind of like, to me, in a lot of ways, it's like back in the days when Napster was around and all these bands, like, the guy from Metallica was boycotting all the, like, now there's a reason why all these bands tour so much, because it's the only way they can make money.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta accept that it's the new world, that, I'm going to pay probably $9.99 a month for Spotify, and that's how I'm getting their music. And I don't know how all the economics work, where the bands get paid
Bands don't
pennies
get paid.
on that.
That's how it works.
But that's sort of the way that we have it. I mean, it's the same thing at the Athletic. Like, it's just, we know that if Andy's buying a subscription, that he's probably giving it to his 3 kids. I mean, that's just kind of the way it works. You really should buy 4 subscriptions, though, Andy. But that's just sort of the way it works. You just sort of accept it. And so in that hockey feed or whatever, it's just kind of the way it works. But the ones that bother me are like when you go to, like, I don't want to say any sites, but same thing. I saw my I don't know if it was Fiala or something, or my Spurgeon story the other day on a major website. Same exact thing. It had the hyperlink of my article, but it was all my quotes in there, and it just, to me, that's bothersome.
Well, yeah, at the end of it, it says you should read Russo's article on the Athletic. I'm like, well, yeah, you should have just linked it at the beginning and not done anything else.
Yeah. So
Good question.
That's the word.
Appreciate
Thanks for
it.
asking.
Thanks for bringing it up. Let's do some. We'll take more live questions. We'll also do some Twitter questions here. We do want to thank Bite Squad. Remember, the promo code is TalkNorth. You'll get your first delivery fee waived. Just keep using Bite Squad because they've been great to us. Obviously, we favor Tin Shed if you're in the neighborhood, or if you can either come to Tin Shed or order directly from Tin Shed. But if you're not, or if you just happen to want something different on that night, use Bite Squad. Pretty much anything you want, anytime you want, they'll deliver to you. Let me squeeze in one Twitter question. Jay Ewan asked, it's a little outdated, but we all know about all the mismanagement of Paul Fenton. Were there any? What were some of his successes?
And
okay, we'll move on now.
Well, Brett Hunt. Look, I mean, he we got to see down the line. I mean, if Fiala and Donato turn into great players, those are going to be successes. I mean, with trades, I'm always, you don't know right away. Same thing with draft picks. You don't know right away. Let me come back to me.
We'll ask again in 4 years.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So that's Zach. He's going to Mizzou next year.
Awesome.
You guys need to talk.
Yeah.
I was telling Zach at the State Fair that he needs to talk to you and Rachel because you guys are proud Mizzou alum.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. I just have a question. I just want to bring it back to Stafford because I know he's a Minnesotan himself, and he's been bouncing around from Boston and New Jersey. With his tryouts that he's been having, do you think he'll be like a solid fit from being a Minnesotan and being because I know a lot of other people on the Wild are from Minnesota. Do you think that Minnesota connection could possibly bring a good, charisma to the team? And if he does get a position on this team, do you think he'll stay here and instead of bouncing around like he's been doing these past couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing. It's like I got to see him up close. Like I could tell you in these captain's practices, he looks really good. But I will say in these captain's practices, a lot of guys look good. I mean, it's just one of those, like I'm watching Dumba yesterday, and honestly, I'm like, holy crap, this guy could score 50 goals this year. I mean, he is that freaking dynamic when you watch him in these things. It's crazy. But he might be the only guy that actually is showing you something in these captain's practices. So Stafford looks good right now, but when the pace of play, actually, I will say this, and I shouldn't, but the one person that's not seemingly elevating right now, that everybody's getting faster and he doesn't seem to be, but it might be because he's pacing himself, is Mikko. I was watching him in the captain's practice the other day, but I think he was just trying to be a little hesitant because they were doing the tight space game where it's you could get yourself hurt pretty easily, and I think that he was just hesitant in that area. But in terms of Stafford, he looks good now. I wrote about him today. I think that it's going to be hard for him to make the team unless there's injuries, just based on the fact that they have 12 guys right now. I mean, I've got to think that Luke Cunnin, Greenway, and Donato, the three guys on the roster up front that can be sent to the minors without waivers, are going to make the team. So the question is he good enough where he's the 13th forward or the 14th forward if Rask is here? Because JT is obviously going to probably not make the team. And Nico, I think, should be down in Iowa unless he's absolutely unbelievable in camp. And the other guy is Jerry Mayhew, who's easy to send down because he needs waivers, even though he doesn't need waivers, even though I think that he really deserves a roster spot. Like, he was so good in Iowa down the stretch this year. So the question is, are you going to keep 14 forwards and have the 14th be Stafford? Will Stafford accept a two-way deal, and then you put him on waivers, and maybe is he going to be willing to sign down there? I mean, those are the type of things that I think they've got to figure out. So I think we just got to see him in camp. He's going to play in a lot of these exhibition games. I hate to say it like this, too, because I like Drew, but a lot of times, remember, there's a mandatory amount of veterans that have to play in an exhibition game. I think the number is 8. And the Wild are going to Vail. And nobody's told me this. This is just, again, reporter instinct. The Wild are going to Vail in the middle of this where they're only bringing like 28, 29 guys. And in that Vail trip, there's a game bookended in Denver, and there's a game bookended in Dallas. And you're not playing your entire roster in these two games. So what it does is having Drew here gives Boudreau an extra guy to throw in, even if they have he has no chance to play it. So they could also be using him for numbers. So we just got to see how he's going to play. I think he's going to get really good opportunity. As I said, I got to think he's the guy that's going to play with Zucker and Stahl early in camp. I will correct you on one thing. He's a Minnesotan like I'm a Minnesotan. Like he was actually born in Wisconsin, grew up there, went to Shattuck, and has never left here after University of North Dakota. So he's just sort of a Minnesota resident.
Does he talk about the Florida Panthers all the time?
But he's buddies with all these guys. Like he's buddy. I've run into Parisi and him hanging out before. He's neighbor, as he said in the story. He's neighbors with Koivu. Zuccarello lives 6 houses down now. Ryan Hartman is renting his buddy's house. So he grew up with Suter and playing with the Madison Capitals. So that was the funniest thing. Like I showed up at the captain's practice the other day. And I saw him on the ice, and obviously I knew he signed a PTO, but I saw him on the ice, and I didn't even do a double take, like, oh, what's Drew Stafford doing there? Like, he just looks like a natural out there because you see him skating with all these guys every summer. So, hopefully something works out for him. What I'm afraid of is that if he makes the team, it means that the Wild ran into some significant injuries in camp, because just, again, if you do the math, it's not an easy path to see how he makes the team. So
good question. Thanks for being here.
Good question,
Appreciate
Zach.
it.
You guys should definitely chat.
Yeah, a couple minutes left in the show. I'm going to challenge you to the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. Keep these answers short.
Twitter questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Aaron Berger, thoughts on Kyle Brodziak?
Tough. I wish him all the best. He's obviously got significant injuries. He was always durable, I'll tell you that. He played his guts out in the NHL.
Good guy, too.
Yep.
From
Great
Nick
guy.
Bennett, will Russo ever put the goalie pads on for a practice?
Nah. They'd want me without a mask.
From Kyle, do you think, given all his accomplishments, that Guerin will get more respect from other GMs, and does that matter?
Yes, it does, 100%.
From Robert Duffy, with the Wild's defensive depth, will the Wild reduce Ryan Suter's ice time?
It's the question going to every training camp, and it never seems to come into fruition, so we'll see.
Maybe being on last year's deal with Boudreau will prompt that. I'm stumbling. From Brandon, not our Brandon, with a handful of teams at or above the cap and some still having to sign RFAs, would there be any players available for trade the Wild would be interested in?
Well, I think every one of those guys that's technically unsigned right now, the Wild would be foolish if they weren't interested in. I don't think any... unless it gets to the Nylander time where it's December 1st and these guys aren't signed, I don't see a lot of these guys being traded. Excuse me. There's no reason that Vancouver needs to trade like a Besser right now because of a minimal contract dispute. Hopefully that thing comes down. from a Minnesota Wild perspective, I could tell you that with 2 of their first 3 games in Winnipeg and Colorado, Bruce Boudreau is just praying that guys like Connor and Laine and Rantanen go late into this training camp or aren't even signed by then, because the Wild could use all the help they can in those situations. But look, I mean, there's no doubt, unless Bill Guerin's just not doing his job, that he has called all these other GMs to say, hey, what's going on with Mitch Marner? What's going on with Laine? What's going on with Besser? I'm sure that's happening. Besser's the one guy I would really be intrigued by. Right shot, right wing, goal scorer from here. Obviously has some personal issues right now that would make it really cool for him to be home. But I just don't see why Vancouver would move him. The question is, I play this game all the time with friends of mine. Like, what would you trade for Brock Besser? And I've had friends tell me, would you trade, Greenway and Donato? Would you trade Greenway and Fiala? Whatever. I mean, I just don't know. Those are the type of things that I could tell you. What I was told is that Fenton did call Jim Benning earlier this summer to see if there was a way to get Brock Besser, and he was basically laughed off the phone. So I don't think right now there's any likelihood that he's going to get moved, but we'll see.
Did I ask him to keep the answer short?
I forgot.
Did I say that out loud, or did I just think it?
What was the others?
A couple more, and then we'll go here. First of all, thank you to everybody who shows up for the shows at Tin Shed. We appreciate it. Next show, September 18th at 7 o'clock. Thank you to all of our listeners and all of our sponsors. From irrelevant, why are player contracts so dictated by others and players and GMs? I think his point is, why should the Wild care what somebody else signed a player for? Why can't you just make your own deal? Well, I mean, it establishes a market. I mean, like the Jake Gardner situation that just happened where he got $4 million, that does not happen every day. I mean, that's why the Jake Gardner situation, like a lot of people have asked me, has the Jake Gardner situation affected the Jared Spurgeon situation? No. I think everybody in the league knows that was just sort of a one-off. For some reason, Jake got trapped in this thing where teams were, where he just priced himself out, or maybe they were scared with his back injury or whatever. But trust me, Jared Spurgeon's not suddenly getting a pay cut because Jake signed for $4 million. Right. Similarly, by the way, like Zach Werenski signing for $5 million, it's apples and oranges to Spurgeon. Different ages. Spurgeon's going to be an unrestricted free agent. Zach's coming off his first contract. It's totally like he was a restricted free agent. Jared's going to be an unrestricted. Apples and oranges. $5 million for Werenski does not mean that Jared Spurgeon's now a $5 million hockey player or lower. Got a final thought? So that's the market. I mean, you cover professional sports. I mean, the market is the market. Absolutely. There are comparables, and that's why it's like if you knew that Kevin Fiala was getting somewhere around 2.93, 3.1, you just knew it. That's the comparable. Absolutely. So, final thought, or are you all run out? No, I got some stocks to buy in the parking lot. Got some early trading futures. I don't even get it. I don't really know what I'm doing. I bought 2 stocks just because their CEOs are from Minnetonka and Plymouth. I'm not kidding. I don't know what they do. Northern Oil Gas or something. It's like based in Minnetonka. I'm like, oh, I'll buy that. So. By the way, when I say this, we're talking like I'm like throwing like $100 in there. I'm not talking like big money. So made $12 today though. So I'm gonna get myself a couple coffees on the way home. I have nothing to add. Yeah. Thank you all for being here. Give Michael I don't know why, but give him some applause. What the hell? But thank you all. We do appreciate it. Thanks to Tin Shed. Thanks to Brandon. We'll see you next week.
City built on a hillside, music in the bars and fire in the sky. We went to the beach and it was covered in ice, and I used to call it home. So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world won't forgive a winner.
Holiday tips and fun facts from Paul, Kristen, and Dexter at Total Wine & More.
The custom of bumping glasses with the cheers came from old Rome. When in Rome, cheers!
A pork crown roast with cranberry stuffing deserves a ripe, fruit-forward Cabernet from Paso Robles. Let me help you find the perfect bottle.
Looking for the right wine for a meaningful gift? Consider me your wine concierge.
Whether you're entertaining or just bringing the wine, we'd love to share our always low prices and ridiculous selection with you. This holiday, now offering same-day delivery at TotalWine.com. Cheers!
And now, an ad from Dad.
All right, save money on car insurance when you bundle home and auto with Progressive. Can I take these off? All right. What is this? This looks good. Wow, that's well made. Where did you get this? I'm talking to you with the hair. Yeah, where did you get this? It's good stuff. That's solid. That's not veneer, that's solid stuff.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Discounts not available in all states or situations.